In this episode, we conclude our conversation with Devon Brooks. Get excited because this is Tiny Leaps, Big Changes. So by now, you already know who Devon Brooks is. And if you don't, well, you're missing out. Devon Brooks is the founder of Blow Dry Bar, the first of its kind and fastest growing blow dry bar in the United States. She's also the founder of Sphere, a brand new company focused on making coaching more accessible and affordable for those who need it most. Something that you know is near and dear to my heart. And over the course of the last two episodes, I've been speaking with Devon about all kinds of things, from the beginnings of her first business, Blow Dry Bar, and how she had those original ideas and plans, and how that all came together, and how that led to better understanding the coaching industry, what was missing and what was broken, and now to her current business, trying to fix the coaching industry and make it something that we can all have access to. Because in her vision, everyone should have a coach. So I've really enjoyed this conversation thus far. And in this episode, the last of this 3-part series with Devon, we are going to be diving deep into Sphere. We're going to talk about how the platform works, why it matters, how you find the right coach for you. And of course, we're going to dive deeper into the question of, is coaching right for you? Should you have a coach? Is this even something that you should be exploring? So I hope you enjoy this. It's the last episode with Devon. Maybe I'll bring her back on in the future if that's something you want. And if you do, find me on YouTube and leave a comment. Let me know. Would you like to hear more from Devon Brooks? Leave a comment down below. So enjoy this last episode with Devon Brooks, and I'll see you on the other side. So at Sphere, and the website, again, for those of you listening or watching, is sphere.guide. Link is in the description. But your goal seems to be, let's make coaching more accessible. Can you tell me about how you're doing that?
Mm-hmm. So, one thing is around price. Another is around how you commit to coaching. Before Sphere, you wanted to work with a coach. You needed to pay lofty upfront packages and front end load your cash, so often in the tune of thousands of dollars before you're actually experiencing or redeeming those sessions. And that can be extremely prohibitive. I mean, even like $1,500, $500 can be the difference between like, there's no way I can do this and ever experiencing coaching. And that was the norm. The second thing is that, coaches were out in their own solopreneurship practices, having all of the same expenses, right? They love this work, so they decide to be a coach. What they don't realize oftentimes that they're also becoming is a solopreneur. Well, now they want to do this work. This is what lights them up. This is their passion, but they're also managing a client list, managing invoicing, managing accounting, figuring out their marketing, managing their own websites. It takes a ton of time, a ton of platforms and resources, and a ton of money. And so when you see coaching show up in personal practices, you land on somebody's website and you see it to the tune of hundreds of dollars an hour or 2 to 3 times the cost of therapy. We're looking at it like that because of these expenses at scale of solopreneurship. And so what Sphere was able to do is say, hey, actually, we're going to create a platform that does all these things so that we can curate an ecosystem of best-in-class shit-hot coaches around the world that are excellent at what they do, that cover a wide spectrum of specialization. So wherever you want to grow, we have the guide for you. And we're going to make it so that they can just show up and get matched with best fit clients and do what they do best, which is coach. And that means that we mitigate all of the time spent or money spent on growing that practice and be able to create a plug and play solution for them to do what they love and to be remunerated well for it. And
So
what that nets out for the customer is, yeah, less expensive. And you know, you can start at Sphere for $79 a month. You can start working with a coach for $79 a month, and you can cancel or pause anytime. It's completely agile. There's no upfront commitments.
So that actually brings me to my next question. One of the biggest issues in coaching, and I know many of my listeners have run into this, is while there are licenses and things like that, there's very little oversight as to like who is a good coach that actually knows what the hell they're doing. And there's very little oversight as far as like how coaching is delivered. In theory, the benefit of a platform is that those standards are put into place. Is that something Sphere is doing? And if so, how do you ensure high quality coaches?
Right. I mean, absolutely. Like you land on, you try to search for a life coach or a business coach on the web. It is a wild ride. You're going to
I
come
mean, you
up.
basically are on Craigslist.
I mean, yeah, it's wild and disappointing, and there's a lot of, there's a lot of reasons to stop right where you are, which is why a curated ecosystem was so important. And you know, the reason for that is as something grows in popularity, right? So then it grows in quantity. That means that it the ratio of like good and not so good also grows. So there's more not so good and more good, but more not so good and more good. And the need for a curated ecosystem was huge to make it so that, you know, somebody who was ready to grow, you know, who understood that like athlete entrepreneurship mentality of like that, like, what are you going to do to be great? What are you going to do to make sure that you're getting out of your own way? Because just like when we go to the gym or just like when we're on the basketball court, I mean, there are times where our body tries to own our mind and gets in the way of us pushing past, you know, our personal best. And when we're ready to do that and we commit to coaching, we want to be able to do that in a way where we can get the support immediately, right as it's needed. And it's really hard to know what is the certification of the coach that's going to be right for me? What is the specialization of the coach that's going to be right for me? Who do I need right now? Can I try people before committing long term? Those things weren't available to you. So we built Sphere so that you can come to the Sphere experience. We match you with your best fit guides. You get to meet them for free always before you decide who it is that you want to work with. And then you commit to your membership, which is totally agile and flexible so that, you know, when life comes up and you need to take a beat and integrate all the things you've learned, you can do that. Then you can come back and hit the green button and go again when you're ready to march on.
You touched on this a little bit in our last episode together, but how does someone listening to this who's like, you know, I've got this issue or I'm thinking about these things. I don't really know if I need coaching though. Like how do we know? How do we know that this is the right move?
I laugh because people who experience coaching will say really simple things to this, like, well, if you have a pulse, you should probably have a coach. And so, you know, I'll let you talk to them because they'll put it to you really, really simply. But what I will say is this: we learn through concrete experience, so doing or having an experience, reflective observation, so reviewing, reflecting on the experience, abstract conceptualization, concluding, learning from the experience, active experimentation, planning, trying out what we've learned, and then going full circle back to concrete experience, doing the next thing, having the next experience. And it's that continuum through which we actually rewire ourselves and make long lasting changes. So if you are a person who is ready to make long lasting changes in important areas of your life, you are a fucking candidate for coaching.
And so then I think the natural follow-up there is coaching versus therapy? How do I know which one I should be going into?
Yeah, well, you may be like me and use them in tandem, like I did in my early 20s and sometimes do now when important things come up. Um, like for example, with the father of my children, we go to family therapy about once every month, and that really supports us in having the kind of conversation that we need to have to cover what we need to cover as co-parents. Alongside that, he uses a coach. I use my leadership coach. I use a business coach. So you can use these things in tandem. They serve quite different purposes. Coaching is not going to serve you if you're seeking a diagnosis. Coaching is not going to serve you if you are in a state of trauma. Absolutely, unequivocally, therapy, psychotherapy, counseling, emergency resources are what you should be seeking out if you're in that state. If you're not in that state, then you're probably like most people, which is we have some degree of traumatic life experiences that are really real for us and play a part in our personal narratives, in getting, in our own way, and that are things that we constantly need to come back to and refine so that whatever has happened to us in the past doesn't become, the master of our destiny. And in fact, we keep sitting down and taking the captain's seat again and again and again through coaching.
So my last question before we wrap up here, which by the way, this has been an incredible 3 episodes with you. So thank you again for the time and the patience with my probably silly questions sometimes. But the last thing that pops up for me that I personally would worry about, and I think many of my listeners might, is let's say I decide, okay, I'm going to give coaching a try. Mm-hmm. How do I make sure that I get the most out of it? Like, what is it that I need to be either preparing ahead of time, or what mindset do I need to be approaching it with? Like, I want to make sure I get something from this experience. How do I do that?
The number one thing you need to do is start. The second thing is show up no matter what. And what that means is you book your sessions and you show up even when you think you don't have something to talk about. Because just by showing up, you're taking the captain seat, you're gesturing that you're still here, you've shown up to do the work and stepped up to the plate. And within minutes, you will find that in fact, you did have something to talk about. What was happening was that, you were letting your busyness and your state of being occupied overtake what is priority. And what being consistent with coaching helps you to do is keeping what matters at the forefront of your life. Things like your values, your purpose, integrity, the way you communicate, how you show up to a room and leave people feeling, how you lead. By showing up to your coaching sessions, what you are doing is you are committing to putting those things at the forefront again and again and again. And if you don't, what will happen is those things will take a back seat.
Yeah, I really, really love that framing because I do think, especially for people who should be in coaching the most, who need it the most right now, it's so easy to forget that who you are and your personal health and your personal well-being is really the only thing that matters. Like, you being busy because your job is demanding this and this and this, like, don't get me wrong, that feels really important. But if you fall apart because you're putting way too much effort into that area and not enough effort on you, that's only going to end up being worse for everybody. So thank you for really highlighting that difference.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right. Then you're in cleanup mode. So let's
Exactly.
not put you in cleanup mode.
Well, listen, Devon, this has been an incredible series of episodes. The website is sphere.guide. Where else can people connect with you or with the products? Like, what can people do next now that they're all excited?
Oh man. Well, you can find me at Dev's Development on Instagram. If that's of any interest to you, that's where I'll be. And if you're ready, then you go to Sphere, you download the Sphere app in the App Store on iOS or Android, and you try your meets, get matched with the guides. Let us introduce you to your perfect fits. You jump in for your 15-minute free first sessions and figure out who it is that you want to get started with. And I will see you there.
Perfect. And of course, all of those links are in the description of this episode and all of the episodes that she's on. Devon, thank you so much for being here. Really, it was a pleasure. And I know listeners got a ton of value out of this. So I hope you enjoyed that episode with Devon Brooks. As always, I've got all of the links to everything that she's doing right now in the description of this episode. If you want to learn more about getting a coach, head over to sphere.guide. That is sphere.guide. Again, it's linked up in the description of this episode. And if you want to just connect with Devon, her Instagram is in the episode notes as well. While you're here, quick favor. We are growing fast over on YouTube. It's a platform that is really important to me to grow. It's a platform that I think will be empowering for us as a community, having a centralized place to talk about everything that we discuss in these episodes and react to and share our thoughts, whether positive or negative. So if you want to keep that conversation going, find me on YouTube. The link is in the description of this episode. Head over there, click subscribe, and leave a comment on today's episode, just letting me know that you're here. All you have to do is introduce yourself, say your name, say what you do or how long you've been listening, or whatever works for you. But find me on YouTube and connect with me there. I'm really excited about what that platform is going to allow us as a community to do and the amount that it will allow us to support each other. So check us out on YouTube. And with that said, remember that all big changes come from the tiny leaps you take every day.